Okay, now the disciplines of sound design. Um, what are the various ways we create sound effects? Well, if you are your own, chief cook and bottle washer, as they say, in your game company, you're doing all the audio. You are the composer. You are the sound designer. You're the voice editor. You're all these people, right? If you're going to be a great sound designer, you should eventually become well versed in a bunch of techniques. And here are some of the ones that are the most important for just kind of an all-purpose kind of material. Okay, I mean, who knows what type of games you prefer to work on or you enjoy, but these are some skills that you really need, some disciplines to be a great sound designer. Okay, let's go through them one by one. All right, so one of the kind of earlier skills you should develop, one of the main skills, is field recording, sometimes called remote recording. And for this, you need skill and patience. But as you record more and more outdoor environments and things like that, you're really going to discover how to gain originality and depth to your recordings. You may want to go back and what we call sweeten them a bit with some additional elements. But again, it's something that just takes practice. And if you take my Game Audio 2 class, one of the major assignments is to create your own game sound effects library, and you and a partner will develop about 70, 80 some odd sounds over the course of the 7 weeks, and part of that will be field recording, and I think you'll realize, wow, this is harder than I thought. You'll say to yourself, but then as you practice, you'll start to develop some skills and really hopefully start to really enjoy it the way I do. Let's just take a look here. So you may be recording livestock. Who knows? You may be recording out in the city. You may be, please don't shoot a gun into a microphone, but you may be on a range somewhere recording weapons. You may be trying to record, ducks walking around on brush. Who knows what it is? But you just have to go out and do it, really, is what it comes down to. One of the challenges is being prepared, and there are unexpected, unforeseen circumstances that arise all the time. So I can formalize the benefits for you here. I want to help to define the game's unique soundscape, right? I mean, you can get off-the-shelf sounds, long playing ambiances, but it's always nice to, if you have the time and resources, to be able to record your own. And sometimes you have to do it because you may be in a place where, say, it's like a giant, I don't know, building construction site, and you're just kind of nearby recording it. The ambience of this kind of big industrial sound of machines whirring and breaking rocks and stuff. It's not practical or safe to do anything like that in a studio, of course. Sometimes you want to get recordings that are made that are very unique. Okay. And you as the recorder can go ahead and say, record the sounds of, loons in Bangor, Maine or something. And you can lease them to the developer, like you're licensing the right to use the sounds to a particular video game company, for example. But you would own those sounds. Essentially, you're your own sound effects library. And that sometimes happens on larger projects, or if you have a very kind of, again, a unique sound library that can't be obtained anywhere else. All right. If you're going to do this, you kind of should have a good set of location tools. For the Game Audio 2 course that I offer, you can use a simple digital recorder that has full fidelity capability, like 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz, and it's in stereo, and that is perfectly acceptable. But if you're going to do lots of field recording and you want to get in all kinds of unique situations, it's good to have the right tools. You might want to get it looks like a stun device there, but that is a stereo field recording microphone. All right, and then this character here, this oval shape, is something's called a blimp or a zeppelin. It's just holding a microphone inside of it, and this is like a windbreaker material. All right, we may have a very rugged portable unit there. Sometimes you're walking around a city all day, like this poor soul, sweltering heat, whatever it is, and you have a boom mic or boom stand, and they are heavy, and they don't seem heavy, but if you're lugging one around all day, they can get kind of heavy. But they do make like carbon fiber ones you can rent and all this. They're very light. Windscreens, otherwise known as the dead cat. I don't know who comes up with these technical terms, but there you have it, the dead cat. And I ordered, if you're on campus at WPI and you go to the Academic Technology Center, the ATC, the first floor of Fuller, in the center, and you go in there and get an accessory kit for a digital recorder, you'll find that when you open it up, you should also see a smaller version of the dead cat called, appropriately enough, a dead kitten. Is this little tiny furry thing. It's like a little Tribble from Star Trek, and you just put it on top of the mic, and it's a windbreaker so that any kind of plosive, it's almost like a pop filter, right? Any kind of plosive sounds, like a wind gust, it won't ruin your recording, at least as much. You won't get these bursts, these transient peaks, and you'll have a better sounding field recording overall. You should have seen the look on the poor person's face when I had to ask them a few years back. Yes, I'd like to put it in order, and the woman at the desk said, yes, what is this for? I said, well, this is for, I need to order 23 dead kittens, please. And it was crazy, the look, but I digress. You need extra batteries too. Lots of them. No matter how many you think you need more. Sometimes recording devices just drain batteries like you wouldn't believe. And, batteries still, even alkaline, super alkaline, aren't that efficient. But we do need to carry them. And also what I don't have here is like any kind of flash memory that you may need. A lot of these devices have removable memory, like SD cards or XD cards. Okay, I mentioned this before, but I'm mentioning it again here since we're talking about field recordings. Diegetic sound is a type of sound that comes from sources that we see on screen, right? Or at least they're implied to be on screen because something's happening in the game. Now, a non-diegetic sound is maybe it's the sound of like a bird crowing in the distance that we can't see over behind a mountain range or something. Let me go to the next one. Here it is. Okay, these are the diegetic examples. Character voices, sounds from objects, yes, and even music from musical instruments shown in the game, which is not a sound effect, obviously, but it's an audio event. All right. And the non-diegetic is neither visible nor present. All right. It's outside of the story space, but it could be, behind an object or far in the distance. Okay, it's implied. It could be the voice of a narrator, dramatic sound added for effect, or the soundtrack. But in the case of sound design, there are a lot of opportunities to enhance a visual or what you can see without actually having to implement something in the game, just other than trigger the sound itself. Okay, moving on to the next discipline, Foley recording. First by the name of Jack Foley, long time ago, back in like the 1930s, started adding audio sound effects to movies using what were called cut-ins. There were these close-ups, and maybe somebody's walking into a room, and so they have a dramatic close-up of this mystery movie or something. This person's opening a doorknob, and they turn the knob, and so he would do these cut-ins, these recordings, and actually physically move a doorknob and record that, and then later like paste it into that portion of the film on a little sound strip, and that would be the cut-in sound, and it became known as Foley recording. So any kind of synchronization sound typically is a human, or now in video games, humanoid or creature effects. Okay, it is possibly the most fun job in the world. It is also the most difficult. Here's two employees working, full-time job, benefits, all that stuff, and their job is just walking on stuff. They're walking all sorts of materials. That strange contraption they're in is called a Foley pit, and these are always these homemade contraptions where you have different boxes filled with one's with sand, one has water, one has gravel, one's wood, one's cement, and so forth. Different materials that you can walk on, and you can create your own Foley library in this way if you're willing to take the time to build one of these crazy things. A lot of fun. Extremely challenging. Here's a whole bunch of weapons, guns, and so forth from One Step Up in LA. There's a whole bunch of Foley companies. A lot of them are in the Hollywood, LA area. But Foley is really any object synchronization, as I say here, and it could be weapons, it could be just mundane objects, a lot of footsteps, and it's very challenging to achieve, especially the footsteps, getting them to sound correct, and really not just recording it correctly, but also the art of synchronizing that sound to a particular event in a game. It's challenging. Back to Children of the Nile. I have a sequence here, so there's a whole bunch of figure animations in the game, and they would have these, they're in front of their building, and just to show that the building's active, they have a character working in this animation loop. And this one is scooping a mixture, making bricks. And so there's kind of 4 sequences that go into this loop. One is scooping a mixture of mud, then we place it in a box, then we take this wooden board and drag it across the box, and we drop it on the ground or grass. And so we're making a kind of like there's a form here. We're putting mud in it, and we're going to make a brick. So I watched the movie over and over again, and then I created sounds that I thought would be appropriate. And this one's scooping the mixture. So let me just play it. Kind of these goopy sounds, right? Place the mud in a box, right? Really goopy. Take a board and drag it across, and then drop it on the ground. And that all happens in 3 or 4 seconds. But what we did was, this was before middleware. We had some custom code put in that we would just generate one of the any 4 random sounds for that particular sequence. So they'd be set up at keyframes, and so you'd get something like, or something like that. So it'd always be a little bit different when you heard it. You can watch this later. This is how Foley was used in SOCOM 3. It's a little bit long, but you can check it out on the slides in the Google Drive. All right. Same with Amnesia. This is a really interesting look at Foley, but again, it's several minutes long, so I'll let you take a look at that in the slides.